It is a moment that feels like a sudden drop in temperature in the middle of an intimate conversation. You have gathered the courage to share a piece of your inner world, a delicate feeling, a boundary you need to set, an intuition that you can't quite explain but you know in your bones is true. You offer this fragile truth to him, hoping for it to be met with understanding, or at least with gentle curiosity. Instead, your vulnerability is met with a single, cold and heavy word, "Why?" And just like that, the warmth of connection vanishes. You are no longer two partners in a shared space. You are suddenly in a courtroom. Your soul has been placed on the witness stand, and he has become the prosecutor, demanding a logical, rational, and defensible case for the very existence of your feelings. You feel the frantic search in your mind for the right words, the perfect evidence that will prove your inner reality is valid. And as you stumble through an explanation you know will never be enough, you feel a profound sense of exhaustion. You are not being heard, you are being cross-examined. This dynamic, this interrogation of the soul, is one of the most painful and insidious patterns in modern relationships. We have been taught to believe it is a communication problem. We tell ourselves, if I could just explain it better, he would understand. And so we try. We read books, we learn new communication techniques, we practice our speeches in the mirror, all in the hope of finally building a logical bridge to a man's heart. But what if this is not a communication problem at all? What if you are trying to explain the art of color to a man who can only see in black and white? What if his constant demand for a reason isn't a sign of his desire for closeness, but a profound and heartbreaking sign of his fundamental inability to connect with your true feminine essence? This video will reveal the one thing a man constantly asks that is the most definitive sign he will never truly see your soul. We will explore, through the deep lens of Jungian psychology, why this demand for logic is a tragic barrier to real intimacy. And more importantly, we will give you a new, sovereign way to respond, a practice that stops the interrogation, reclaims your power, and instantly reveals whether the man before you is capable of meeting you on the level of the soul, or if he is destined to remain forever in the shallow courtroom of his own mind. So what is this one subtle, yet profoundly revealing thing that a man will ask? It is not a single specific question like, "What are your 5-year goals?" or "How many partners have you had?" It is something far more insidious, because it often masquerades as a genuine attempt to understand you. The one thing a man will constantly ask, which signals he will never truly see your soul, is the demand for a logical, rational explanation for an intuitive, emotional, or sovereign truth. It appears in many forms, often disguised as reasonable inquiry. It is the simple yet heavy question "why?" that follows a statement of your feelings. It is the phrase, "That doesn't make sense, explain it to me," after you've shared an intuitive hit. It is the demand, "Justify why you need that," when you try to set a boundary. On the surface, these questions seem fair. After all, what is wrong with wanting to understand? But we must look deeper into the unspoken assumption that lies beneath the question. The assumption is this: your inner reality, your feelings, your intuition, your needs, is not valid on its own. It is considered guilty until proven innocent in the courtroom of his logic. Your feeling is not enough. It must be backed by evidence. Your intuition is not enough. It must be supported by facts. Your need is not enough. It must be justified by a reason he deems acceptable. This is a profound act of invalidation. It is a dismissal of the feminine way of knowing, which has always been rooted in feeling, in intuition, in the wisdom of the body, and in the unspoken language of the soul. He is, without realizing it, trying to use a ruler to measure the weight of a song. He is demanding that you describe the precise chemical composition of a perfume to prove that it is beautiful. He is using the wrong tool, the wrong language, and in doing so he is communicating that your native tongue, the language of your soul, is foreign and untrustworthy to him. Let's make this concrete. Perhaps you meet a new person, and after a short interaction you say to your partner, "I don't know what it is, but I have a really bad feeling about him." The man who is capable of seeing your soul might respond with, "Okay, I trust your feeling. We'll be careful." He doesn't need to understand it logically, he trusts you. But the man who cannot see your soul will respond with the interrogation. "Why? What did he say? What did he do?" That's not a real reason. You're just being judgmental. He is telling you that your intuition, a deep and ancient form of intelligence, is inadmissible as evidence. Or perhaps you have had a long week, and you say, I need a quiet night in tonight. I need space. The man who can see your soul will hear the need behind the words and say, of course, take all the space you need. But the man who is trapped in logic will ask, but why? We had a quiet night last week. What's the reason? Explain it to me. He is not trying to understand your need. He is trying to debate its validity. He is putting your need for sanctuary on trial. This constant demand for logical proof is the ultimate sign that he is relating to you from his ego, not from his heart. He is comfortable in the world of the mind, of facts and figures, of things that can be controlled and categorized. He is profoundly uncomfortable in the world of the soul, the world of mystery, of emotion, of intuition, because he cannot control it. And because he cannot control your inner world, he demands that you translate it into his language, the language of logic, so that he can feel in charge once again. This is the foundation of a connection that can never go beyond the superficial, because one person is constantly being asked to prove that their very essence is real. To understand this dynamic, we must move beyond our frustration with this man and step into a place of compassionate psychological curiosity. Why does he do this? Why does he need a logical reason for everything? The answer is that he is not acting out of malice. He is acting out of a deep-seated and often unconscious pattern. He is embodying the archetype of the prosecutor. The prosecutor is the part of the psyche that believes the world must be logical, predictable, and controllable. He lives in the world of the mind, of facts, of evidence, of linear arguments. He is the master of the spreadsheet, the king of the courtroom. His greatest strength is his ability to analyze and reason, but his greatest weakness is his profound discomfort with anything that cannot be measured, categorized, or proven. And there is nothing more immeasurable, more mysterious, and more uncontrollable than the inner world of the feminine soul. Your feelings, your intuition, your sudden need for space. These things are a foreign language to him. They do not fit into the neat boxes of his logical mind. They are like a beautiful, complex poem being presented as evidence in a court of law. The prosecutor does not know what to do with the poem. He cannot debate it. He cannot disprove it. He can only demand that it be translated into his language, the language of prose, of facts, of a logical because. He needs a reason because reasons can be argued with, reasons can be controlled, feelings cannot. In the language of Carl Jung, this is the sign of a psyche where the principle of logos, the masculine principle of logic, order, and structure, has become overdeveloped, while the principle of Eros, the feminine principle of relatedness, connection, and feeling, has been left in the shadow. He has been conditioned, as many men are, to believe that his mind is his most valuable asset and his heart is a dangerous and unreliable liability. He is disconnected from his own anima, his own feeling function, and because he cannot trust or understand the world of feeling within himself, he cannot trust or understand it in you. Your intuition is a threat to his ordered world. It suggests there is a way of knowing that is not dependent on his logical frameworks. Your feelings, which arise and pass without a clear linear cause, are a terrifying mystery to him. His demand for an explanation is at its core a desperate attempt to regain control. If he can force you to translate your soulful poetry into his sterile prose, he can put your experience back into a box he understands. He can feel in charge again. So when he asks why, what his soul is really saying is, I am afraid. I am afraid of what I cannot control. I am afraid of this world of feeling you inhabit so naturally, because I am an exile from that world myself. He is not questioning the validity of your soul. He is terrified by the silence of his own. This understanding does not excuse his behavior, but it does depersonalize it. His interrogation is not about you. It is about his own inner exile. Now we must turn the mirror from him back to ourselves, for this dynamic is a dance of two. He may be the prosecutor, but why do we so willingly, almost compulsively, step into the role of the good defendant? Why does his simple question, why, trigger such a frantic and exhausting search within us for the perfect, logical, and defensible answer? The compulsion to answer his interrogation is not born in the present moment. It is a ghost from our past, a pattern learned in the earliest courtrooms of our lives. This is the echo of our conditioning as the good girl, the part of us who learned that love, safety, and approval were conditional upon our ability to be understandable, reasonable, and to never cause trouble. The good girl learns that her feelings are secondary to the logic of the adults around her. Her "because I feel it" is not an acceptable reason. She must learn to justify her own inner reality, to provide a case for her own heart. This conditioning activates the orphan archetype we have spoken of before, the part of us that fears abandonment and believes it must earn its place. The orphan is the ultimate good defendant. She believes that if she can just present the perfect case, the flawless argument, the irrefutable evidence for her feelings, she will finally be seen, validated, and loved. She will win the case and be allowed to stay. And so, when he asks, "Why?" the orphan within you leaps to the witness stand. You feel a surge of adrenaline. You begin to frantically search the archives of your mind for evidence. Why do I need a quiet night? Well, I only slept 6 hours last night, and I had that stressful meeting, and the traffic was bad. You are no longer a sovereign being stating a need. You are a lawyer presenting a closing argument for the defense of your own soul. This is the very heart of the validation trap. You have unconsciously accepted his premise that your inner truth is not inherently valid. You have agreed to play the game by his rules, on his territory, the territory of logic. But this is a game you can never win. Because even if you present a flawless logical case for your feelings, you have already lost. You have lost because by the very act of defending your soul, you have implicitly agreed that it is something that needs to be defended. You have abandoned the quiet certainty of your own knowing and have entered the noisy courtroom of his doubt. The compulsion to answer is, at its core, a form of self-abandonment. It is a moment where you trust his need for logic more than you trust your own inner truth. You are trying to build a bridge to him, but you are setting fire to your own ground to do it. This pattern is not your fault. It is a deeply ingrained survival strategy. But the truth is, the man who is capable of seeing your soul is not looking for a good defendant. He is looking for a woman who knows, on a level deeper than words, that her own inner world is its own sovereign territory, a sacred ground that requires no justification. To know that you are in a courtroom is the first step. To consciously and gracefully walk out of it is the act of liberation. This requires a new way of communicating, a practice that short-circuits the entire prosecutor-defendant dynamic. This is not a complex exercise, but a radical and simple shift in how you use your words. We call it the sovereign statement, a practice of unexplained truth. The entire purpose of this practice is to break your conditioning of over-explaining yourself. It is the art of stating your truth as a complete and sufficient reality, one that does not require a logical because to be valid. This is how you reclaim your power, not by winning the argument, but by refusing to participate in an illegitimate trial. First, recognize the interrogation. The first step is to cultivate a deep awareness in the moment. When he asks why, you must learn to feel the energy behind the word. Is it a question born of genuine, gentle curiosity, a true desire to understand your inner world? Or is it a demand for proof? Does it feel like an invitation or an interrogation? Does your body relax in response to it? Or does it tense up, preparing for a defense? Your body knows the difference. This practice begins with trusting that feeling. Second, anchor in your truth. When you recognize that you are being interrogated, your conditioned response is to immediately look to your mind for a logical defense. You must interrupt this pattern. Instead of going up into your head, go down into your body. Take one silent, conscious breath. Use that breath to anchor yourself in the simple, undeniable truth of your own feeling. Remind yourself, in that moment, my feeling is real. My need is valid. It is its own reason. You are not preparing your legal argument. You are grounding yourself in your sovereign territory. Third, deliver the sovereign statement. Now, you will respond. But instead of the long, defensive, and anxious explanation that the good defendant would offer, you will deliver a short, calm, and complete sentence. The sovereign statement has two key qualities. It is honest and it is unexplained. It states your reality without justifying it. Here are some examples of what this sounds like in practice. If he asks, "Why do you need space tonight? It doesn't make sense," the good defendant would list her reasons. The sovereign woman says calmly and kindly, "Because this is what I need right now." If he says, "Explain to me why you have a bad feeling about that person, it's irrational," the sovereign woman says, "I am honoring my intuition on this." If he presses, "Justify why this is so important to you," the sovereign woman says, "It is important to me because it is important to me." These statements are not aggressive, they are not cold, they are profoundly powerful because they are undebatable. They are not an opening for a cross-examination, they are a declaration of your inner reality. You are not handing him a thesis to be graded, you are showing him a boundary to be respected. This practice is the embodiment of self-trust. It is the moment you stop treating your soul like a suspect and begin honoring it as your ultimate authority. When a woman begins to use the sovereign statement, she is not just changing her words, she is changing the very foundation of the relationship. She is conducting a quiet, powerful experiment, and the result of this experiment is the most valuable gift she can give herself, the gift of clarity. Her new response acts as a great filter. It is a powerful diagnostic tool that, in a single moment, reveals a man's true capacity for a soul-level connection. When you deliver your calm, unexplained truth, you are creating a pattern interrupt. You have refused to play your assigned role of the good defendant. The courtroom has been silenced. In that moment of profound stillness, he is forced to confront his own pattern, and his reaction will tell you everything you need to know. There are only two paths he can take. Scenario A. The man who is capable of meeting your soul, a man who is genuinely interested in you, not just in controlling you, and who has some capacity for his own inner work, will be stopped in his tracks. Your quiet certainty will be a mirror to his own need for logical control. He may feel uncomfortable, he may be confused, but because his desire for connection is greater than his need for control, he will lean in with curiosity, not with aggression. His response might sound like, "Okay, I don't fully understand it, but I respect it." Or he might become silent himself, reflecting on why your simple statement felt so powerful. Your refusal to enter the courtroom of logic invites him to leave it as well, and to meet you in the sacred space of feeling and trust. Your sovereign statement becomes an invitation for his own growth. Scenario B. The man who is trapped in his own mind. A man who is fundamentally incapable of seeing your soul, the man who is a true prosecutor, will react very differently. Your refusal to provide a logical explanation will feel like a direct threat to his ego and his sense of control. He cannot meet you in the world of feeling, so he will try to drag you back into the courtroom with even more force. He may escalate his demands. "That's not a real answer. You're being irrational." He may accuse you of being secretive or difficult. Or he may withdraw completely, punishing you with a cold silence, hoping to make you so uncomfortable that you come running back with the explanation he craves. He fails the test. His reaction is the final, unmistakable sign. The man who is capable of loving your soul will be humbled by your sovereignty. The man who can only love his own logic will be angered by it. And with this clarity, you are no longer in the dark. You will no longer waste months or years of your life trying to explain your soul to a man who is determined not to see it. The great filter has done its work. It has revealed to you not just his character, but the true potential of your future together. We began this journey in the cold, sterile courtroom of a relationship, with your soul on the witness stand, being cross-examined for the crime of simply feeling. We have traveled through the psychology of the man who must prosecute what he cannot understand, and the conditioning of the woman who feels she must defend her own existence. And we have arrived at the final, liberating verdict. The constant demand for a logical explanation is not a bridge to intimacy, it is a wall. It is a definitive sign of an inability to connect with the true intuitive language of the soul. And the sovereign statement is your key, not to win the trial but to walk out of the courtroom and never return. You are not a thesis to be debated, You are not a legal case to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt. Your feelings are not questionable evidence to be presented before a judge. They are the undeniable sacred truth of your own inner reality. Stop auditioning for the role of the logical and reasonable partner. That is a role written by a world that is afraid of the feminine soul. Instead, embrace your true role, the sovereign of your own inner world. Your soul does not owe anyone an explanation. Your truth is its own reason. It is a song that your soul is singing. The man who is truly capable of seeing you will not demand that you dissect the notes. He will simply be moved by the music, and the one who cannot hear it is simply not meant to be in your audience. With this new clarity, you can offer the gift of your presence to those who can appreciate its beauty, and walk away with profound peace from those who only wish to prove it isn't real.